What's up guys, it's John here at Daddy Directive. Parents with babies and especially parents with newborns, I am sure that you're getting plenty of good night's sleep, 8 hours straight, and you're feeling at the top of your game. Probably not. You're probably not getting any sleep and you're probably as tired as hell. As tough as it is for the parents and the adults when you're not getting much sleep, it is absolutely critical that your babies get plenty of sleep. So today I'm going to share information on the importance of sleep, especially when it comes to your babies, and some tips as to how you could help your babies sleep better. But before we move on to that, let's hit that like button to really help out this channel. And if you are a new viewer, please subscribe to this channel to see more of these kind of parenting tips in the future. So, the importance of sleep. Let's get right to it. So sleep, how important is it? Well, there has been a study in 2017 that actually showed a positive association between the cognitive development, such as language, executive functions, and memory, with sleep. And not surprisingly, because all the development of the baby's brain is done during their sleep. And the babies, they actually start their life sleeping majority of the time. Literally, when they are in the mother's womb, they're actually sleeping 95% of the time. And when they are out of the womb, as you can probably already imagine or have experienced already, they are developing at a rapid rate. And that's not just the physical development, their mental development. And what does the mental development indicate? Brain is developing just as fast as well. As your baby experiences new things, whether that would be seeing something for the first time, hearing mom's voice, hearing dad laughing out for the first time, they form all those experiences and they form those into memories and learning experiences during their sleep, during the time in which the brain actually organizes and develops synaptic connections to make them into a permanent memory. So what are synapses? Those are the brain pathways. Think of it as a little bit like roads within the brain, where the information is to get from A to B. And when the babies are first developing, these synapses are being formed at an alarming rate. Instead of just forming these synapses where they feel it's going to be used a lot, they actually form synaptic connections with every experience that they're getting. And what ends up happening is that they just kind of build everything and then stop using the ones that they don't use often. And those synaptic connections start to disappear after 3 years. And this is why when babies actually experience brain injuries, they actually recover a lot easier and a lot faster than an adult who experienced the similar level of damage to their brain. Because their brain is geared to making new connections much faster and much easier than an adult brain. This is why it's important for the babies to experience as much as they can when it comes to sensory and learning and new experiences during the first 3 years, so they could develop as many synaptic pathways as possible. So when it comes to sleep-eat cycles for babies, think of it more like a refuel and recharge cycle for the babies. Because the babies develop so fast, both physically and neurologically, they require this time for the body to actually relax and repair and build. So when the babies go to sleep, that is the time when the brain organizes the experience and the sensations that they had experienced the day before and allow it to form a proper long-term synaptic connections, which allows them to form the memories and helps them to learn those new skills. I mean, this is how the brain works. Have you ever tried to learn something, memorize something for the entire day, and then you don't get any sleep, and then you move on to the next day and go through the entire day? Often you'll find that you have a very tough time remembering what you did the 2 days before, because your brain didn't really have the opportunity to file and organize the experiences that you had. It goes into a little bit of an overload, and our brain naturally tends to forget some of the things because those experiences weren't imprinted into a more of a permanent synaptic connection in the brain. So as you can see, sleeping is essential for babies, and babies need anywhere between 14 to 18 hours of sleep a day. And to put that into perspective, When the newborns are feeding, let's say, on a 2-hour cycle, it will take about half an hour for each of the feeding. And on a 2-hour cycle, they'll be feeding 12 times a day. 12 times 30 minutes is 6 hours. So literally, they are only staying awake to eat, and rest of the time, they're sleeping. And as the babies develop, their sleeping time will decrease over time. And when we say 14 to 18 hours, with the exception of the newborns, which will be sleeping all the time constantly, for the babies and infants, they will be sleeping, but usually it will consist of one long stretch of sleep, followed by 2 or 3 naps during the day, which will add up to somewhere between 14 to 18 hours of sleep per day. Now, here's a fun fact. When the babies are sleeping and their brains are developing, about 1 million synapses are being formed every second for the first 3 years of their life. Just think about that. That's a lot of connections. So lack of sleep with babies would cause even bigger problem than they would with an adult. I mean, even as an adult, when you put on all-nighter, you have a much tougher time concentrating the day after. But with the babies, with synapses being formed left and right 1 million per second, it's no surprise that if they start to lack sleep, they're going to have some serious cognitive development issues later on down the line. A sleep-deprived baby is less agreeable and they'll be more fussy. So it's actually tougher for you. So you want to give your baby the opportunity to sleep as much as possible. So what can you do to make sure your baby get a good night's sleep? Well, first, it will take some time, but you need to figure out the baby's sleep cycle. The baby's sleep cycle is a little bit different to the adults. The adults go through the sleep cycle where the cycle lasts somewhere between 3 to 4 hours. And adults do wake up. We just don't realize it when we wake up in the morning because we have learned to basically fall back asleep without much conscious effort. But the babies haven't quite learned yet. That falling back after each cycle is actually a learned skill. It's not something that happens automatically. And that is why a lot of times babies will wake up literally after 45 minutes to an hour. They'll go through that cycle many, many times, especially during the first few weeks of their life, since they don't actually know how to fall back to sleep easily once they get out of each of the sleep cycle. Understand and figure out how long the cycle is with your baby, and then you'll have a better understanding in terms of dealing with it. It's a good idea to form a regular pre-sleep routine. And by having this pre-sleep routine, this will eventually develop into their bedtime routine as they get older. So what are the things that you could do for the pre-sleep routine? You could try singing the same song every time they go to sleep. I myself actually chose a particular song that I've decided that I'm just going to sing this song or hum that song every time they fall asleep. So it becomes almost like a cue. When they hear the song or when they hear that humming, they know instinctively, okay, it's time to go to sleep. Another thing that you could do is to have a bath time before they fall asleep. And I'm talking about bath time before the nighttime sleep. You don't want to give a bath time every time they take a nap because that'll be just too much for the skin. So yes, have a routine bath time where they can relax before they go to sleep. I found that was also the case with my twins. After a bath, they felt a lot more relaxed and they actually expended a lot of their energy playing during the bath, and it actually helped them to ease into sleep much faster. And lastly, when the babies are first born, their circadian rhythm that lets them know when it's day and night is not formed yet. You actually have to help them form that clock, and you do that by adjusting the light. During the nighttime when they need to sleep for the longer stretches, make sure you dim the lights. And the last thing that you could do is you could also swaddle your baby. Swaddling actually gives them a sense of comfort and security, and it actually helps them to fall asleep a lot easier. Not only that, it actually prevents what's called moral reflexes. It is an involuntary reaction with their arms and legs where they'll just jerk randomly. And it is a perfectly natural phenomena, but this jerking motion a lot of times could wake the baby up. The American Academy of Pediatrics actually recommends swaddling as one of the proper techniques to help your baby fall asleep better. Guys, I hope the information you found today was useful and that you now understand the importance of sleep when it comes to your baby. With the knowledge you gained from this video, I hope it'll make things a little bit easier in your next bedtime. As always, thank you for watching and happy parenting.